Hello out there in the crypto world. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on. Like, it's almost Halloween. I've been under the weather a little bit. That's why I didn't get out yesterday and get this broadcast out on YouTube. My team's been waiting for me. I ate something bad and I'm still a little bit affected. Today's the first day I actually felt a little bit better to get out and record. It's going to be kind of brief today. We are on the road. The crypto market seems to be holding. That's typical for this time of year, as we know. Bitcoin above 2,000, Ethereum at the 4,100 and above holding, so staying above that 4,000 and 60,000 marks. The altcoins seem to be creeping up there too and holding. You know, Solano's getting back up to 200 mark, etc. What's going on with Cardano and ADA? That's a good question. I'm not going to go through that today, but what I want to talk a little bit today is a little bit what's going on. Just give a brief update and tell you what we're doing, and yeah, just touch bases. Again, I've been kind of under the weather a little bit, ate something bad. But let's talk a little bit about what's going on. Got some hotspots coming in, and we're waiting for those to show up too, to take down and deploy. And so our helium news that we're going to also put out today as well, so stay tuned for that. We'll also go in a little more depth on helium news and what took place in helium this last week. There were some scares going on. Let's talk about that a little bit, and then we'll get into the helium news as well. All right, let's jump right into it with DeFi IoT Latin America. Remember, our focus here is to always try to find the truth, bring it to you, and share with you our experiences. We're not financial advisors. We are in this game learning as you are, and our objective here is to, as we learn, share with you what we learn, and through our experiences, both good and bad. So hopefully we can better the idea of the community of cryptocurrencies and blockchain, and that's what the focus is. You know, there's a question that got proposed to me, and I didn't really touch on it last week. I wanted to, but a question got proposed to me, the person I ran into in a large supermarket, and we start talking. And I always try to talk about what I do, and IoT developer, and specifically in with blockchain and with cryptocurrencies, that IoT that pays out in rewards. Mining, if you will, but they're mostly rewards, as we know. So, not traditional mining. So anyway, he asked me, like, I have $10,000 come, what do I do with it? And I talked to him about this the other day. And remember, we're not financial advisors. Somebody asked me the same question last night. Had a good hour-and-a-half long conversation with another person I ran into, and they called me and asked me for explanations and why I do this, and what's my purpose in doing this, and what's my objective in doing this, and having this YouTube page, etc., and try to educate people on blockchain and cryptocurrencies. And I basically, in a large, short of the long story, I told him, I said, look, I said, our purpose is I want to see people ready for what's coming. We know there's a lot of things coming with electrical blackouts that are very possibly going to start hitting us soon, and they're already hitting some parts of the world. What's that going to do to our ability to work as we know it today? We get cut back to 3-day work weeks like we have in the past. What's that going to do to an economy that's already limping to get back on its feet? I know where for example, talking about a country limping, economy trying to get back on its feet, the country where we base our main office out of, they're now, today they rose up and the gas prices rose, and so the country shut down. They shut down all movement, all transportation going into all cities. So even like my team can't get into work, so they're working from home. And they can work from home, but it's not the same productivity. There's distractions and so forth. I know with me here too, I have to come outside to record. My little one's with me, and she just doesn't understand. She's 6 and she wants to be around dad all the time, and so she wants to like follow me around and make noises. And she makes the noises to get my attention because she wants that attention from dad. So next week, I'm going to do some brief videos again next week, and I'm going to spend a few days with her, traveling around, showing her the Sierra Nevadas and our home here and Lake Tahoe, and taking her over to San Francisco for the day, and eating on the boardwalk, and just spend some time with her. It's her first time in America, and she's really excited to be here in America, and so I'm going to take some time with her. I've been working a lot since I've been here, and I've been under the weather a little bit. Anyway, what would I do? What are we doing? Well, I'm going to tell you what I would do. You look at Bitcoin right now and you think, is it going to keep going? Is it going to hit 100,000? I bet it does. I would imagine it will. But is it going to hit also come spiraling back down again? To what point? It could be 50,000, could be 60,000, could be 20,000 or 30,000. We know that's probably going to be inevitable because who's buying up Bitcoin right now? It's not just you and I. They are institutional investors. You have the SEC that already has approved ways in which you can actually, buy into Bitcoin on the New York Stock Exchange now, and it's gaining this buoyancy, but it's gaining buoyancy with institutional investors, and that's dangerous because what can happen now? You get another El Salvador comes along, another country comes along and says, hey, we're going to invest so much in Bitcoin because we're going to now make Bitcoin a legal tender of the land. And like they tried to do with El Salvador and dump it, they didn't have enough of it to dump. And we withheld it as a community. But if they keep buying it up like they're doing now, they'll be able to bully anybody in the country who wants to go against the mainstream of the financial institutions. That being said, the United States, the Biden administration now is dead set on trying to pass legislation to not only tax on your capital gains, but now tax on your unearned gains. So in other words, you buy into Bitcoin today or any other cryptocurrency and it goes up today. Well, you're actually taxable, and we have to see what that time frame is going to be, but I imagine it's going to be on a 24-hour clock. I don't know. I'm just guessing right now at this point. But what they do want to do, what's a fact, is they want to tax us on unearned gains. That's incredible. That's actually totally communist. I'm sorry, but I got to say it how it is. To tax on something that's unrealized. I mean, we know in the cryptocurrency market that if we buy today and Bitcoin goes up to 65,000, well, at the end of the day, if we have to be taxed on that at a certain cutoff point, and then it drops back down to 55,000, and we bought it at 60, now we incur a loss. So, okay, are we going to be able to write those losses off too? I imagine there's going to be a percentage of losses we can write off too. Imagine there's going to be that balance. But think of the record-keeping nightmare that's going to be for us, and we're going to have to contract other people that keep track of all that. So once we contract somebody else or a software or a wallet that keeps track of all that, we now centralize all of our data. We centralize our day-to-day data, who we are. It's very centralized, and that's exactly where these governments want to go with it. So we're still waiting to see what the Fat F's going to come out with. There's a lot of legislation going to come down the pipe right now. So here's the question then, and going through, and today I kind of keep it brief and keep it along these lines. Cryptocurrency market is buoyant, very buoyant right now. And do I think it's got a future? Yes, I do. And even if the U.S., if they try to step on it, you're going to have states like Texas that legalize cryptocurrencies, that passed a law just last week stating that anything that basically have to do with the mandates, anything that's a federal mandate that violates the Texas Constitution or the U.S. Constitution, Texas will not uphold that. So we're looking for states like Texas, Florida, hoping Arkansas and some of these Tennessee will come around, as Missouri. These states will come around and become their own countries. And that's sad to say. And actually, I know people are probably going to balk at me for this, but I actually look forward to that because I'm really tired of living with a complete opposition. I defend freedom and DeFi in a free market economy. I defend the person who makes an effort to get themselves up. And in the crypto world, you don't have to make that much of an effort to have to lift yourself up. You have to do some research, yes, and you have to, some of you don't have to buy into. Use your cell phone, for example, like for example, Pi or the Mysterium nodes you could run on your cell phone or your laptop. You can make other forms of cryptocurrency, maybe not in great abundance, but you can get started with no investment at all. And yet if you want to put some money into it, invest into it, and research, do your homework, then you can actually grow yourself. Go into the Helium or go into other types of hotspots or what they call miners in that area. Even GPU mining or ASIC mining, and people balk on it saying, well, it consumes so much electricity. Well, you know what? Give me a break. I mean, who's talking about how much electricity is consumed every day by Las Vegas? Or even go to Bangkok, Thailand, or Beijing, China. You go to these major cities and you go, banning GPUs and the mining ability in the state of New York, and then you leave Times Square open and running all their lights and electricity. Do the calculations there. There's a lot of blah blah out there, and I forget the word is used in the crypto market. It's just a lot of garbage that's out there to try to push an agenda and against Bitcoin and against Ethereum mining or GPU mining in general because it consumes so much electricity. But where's everything going? I mean, Governor Newsom in the state of California announced last week that, hey, you can't have a lawnmower or a chainsaw that's gas by the January 2023, I believe it is. So you have to go electrical. You guys go electrical. That's even more dangerous. You got long cords. Well, you can go batteries, but you're not going to have the power that you would have with a gas, right? Cars, now they've changed it from 2030 to 2035, from my understanding, that you have to have all electrical cars in the state of California. Well, that's in the agenda of the whole Great Reset. So everything's going electrical. They're going electrical. In electrical airplanes, you've got Elon Musk designing electrical airplanes, and everything's going electric. So don't tell me that because GPU miners or ASIC miners are consuming electricity that they're bad for the environment. I'm sure you've got some electrical usage that's coal, but you don't have a replacement yet. They're coming out saying, hey, we're going to replace all this. We're going to cut off all this fracking. We're going to cut off the usage of petroleum-based type of electricities and natural gases. But yet, where is the next step? Where is the solar? Or where is the next step, the windmills? All that depends if you got good sunlight and if you got wind. If you don't, guess what? Electricity's cut off. So there is not the consistency. And what are you going to do with those solar panels and those batteries and those big windmills when they expire in 20, 25 years? We're going to have this huge onslaught of garbage that we're not going to be able to do anything with, because it also will contaminate. If you look at solar panels, the actual liquids that are used in solar panels are highly toxic. So what are we going to do with that? There's still, those issues are not resolved. So we're cutting off one to jump into another, and another is really not even planned out. There's not even a plan in place for that. It's just a matter of, we take advantage of it now because this is the pandemic. We're going to jump on that. The people are ready for a change. They're scared. We're living in fear. Please, people, stop living in fear. And that's why I am going to get back to what I get back to now. Why would I say? People ask me, if I had $10,000, what should I buy? And I said, very little. Very little in cryptocurrencies. Why? Because so many people are scared out there. And what happened when the big institutional investors start dumping Bitcoin or dumping their crypto, their Ethereum, or whatever it might be, people are going to run and sell off and cause this huge sell-off. Will I think cryptocurrency is going to collapse? Absolutely not. We're into this head and shoulders, if you will. And I think we're into this for the long haul. I think this is the future. Blockchain is the future. Now, we're going to have to do a lot to keep the Davos group from their supercomputer overthrowing the internet and then controlling blockchain, which is why I support quantum. So if I had to say anything right now, big truck going by here, like I said, there's hardly any traffic on the street at all. But when I come out to record, traffic moves up and down here. Just my luck. Anyway, so if I had to take $10,000, what would I do with that $10,000 today? Well, first of all, what I would do with $10,000 is I would focus on the aspect of buying in miners. I would get into mining. I would get into investing in mining, and you can get into helium mining, for example. You can pick up a miner from $500 to $750, $1,000 you get into it. And if you hook up your helium miner good, your hotspot, and things go well as they're projected down the road, and helium's making some great jumps today. In fact, as I get into the helium news later on, I'll talk a little bit about the new deal helium made with Dish, and now Dish is going to carry their 5G network as well as you've got other cell phone providers in other countries that are going to now carry throughout the country. You've got Volvo and Cisco that are jumping online with helium to actually provide a coverage in their vehicles, etc., that would be implemented under the 5G network of helium. So helium is making some great alliances, and it's like every week they're coming up with something new. Their R&D team, their future, their outlook team is incredible. So I'm really bullish on helium. Do you buy helium? Well, you can buy helium too. But I would more so look at how I can generate and mine. I have to agree with Son of a Tech in this area that, investing in cryptocurrency is much more risky than investing in miners. So if you bought into helium mining, and there's other types of miners out there you can look at, and we're going to start covering more of that. As you notice this week, you'll see that our staff is covering a lot of things right now in Spanish, and they're going to start doing that in English as well. Of other things you can get into, they're less costly, even free to get and start mining. They don't mine as much. I noticed that the less you expend on something to mine, a lot of times the less return you get. But there's other ways you can produce. So I would say, okay, if I had $10,000, I would take probably $7,000 of that, $6,000 to $7,000 of that, and I would invest it in hardware. Something I have that's tangible, it's also resellable. Your GPUs. Well, do you get involved with GPUs right now? I would stay down a little bit on GPUs. They're very expensive. We know that Ethereum is going to go offline somewhere between February and June of next year, when it's going to stop permitting GPU mining is going to go from proof of work to actually proof of staking. Not thrilled about that. I'm not a big pro proof of staker. I think that proof of work is much more in line with maintaining decentralized finance. Once you get to proof of staking, that actually becomes decentralized. So I find that in all actuality, that we should really maybe take $6,000 to $7,000 that put it in hardware, because we can go through that in other steps. And then I would take maybe $3,000 or $4,000, and I would buy into Bitcoin. Bitcoin, some people say, well, maybe I can get into Ethereum. Okay, you could buy into Ethereum too. I'm not pro on Ethereum. I know Elon Musk came out and tweaked the other day, and that really hurt. That really hurt. You know, a certain coin, and yeah, he stated what he's involved in, and one of the he's in is Ethereum. I'm not a big Ethereum fan. I just think that they're going to become very centralized. I don't like the leadership and the actual competition and desire to actually sell out. And now my neighbor's going to move the garbage cans while I'm out here recording, so you got to excuse that noise. I come out, the people are supposed to be at work. It's not even noon yet. It's like I wonder what people do anymore. You don't have that traditional work week. You know, people go and come and they put work from home and so forth. So anyway, you got to excuse the noise. This used to be, like I said, a very quiet neighborhood, but it's definitely changed. So what happens now if with the idea of decentralization? You know, when we go proof of staking. I'm not big on proof of staking, though I know that people say, well, it consumes less energy, et cetera, et cetera. So I think proof of staking really consolidates and it becomes even a higher risk. Would I stake right now? Well, it depends. If I can stake and there's certain areas I can stake in and hold that coin still, just commit it and hold the coin in my cold wallet, yes, I would. So I would stake investing. I would definitely, we're buying Bitcoin. We're buying Bitcoin. We're also buying into Polkadot. We like Polkadot. There's algorithms out there. Look for algorithms out there that really support smart contract and smart contracts in the way of they're very broad in the way that they can support those smart contracts and be able to adjust to any future regulations and so forth that are going to come along. I would say those kind of cryptocurrencies and cryptocurrencies that maintain more decentralized are going to be much harder for the SEC and other governing entities to step on and to come in and control. And with those, you're going to be able to maintain your DeFi. So I would do like a 60-40 split, hardware and then investing, and different types of investing. Staking, but staking where you can hold it in your cold wallet, where you have possession of it. Because that company goes under, you're done, right? It's like buying into a corporation and it goes under, you have the shares in your hand, you're left with nothing. So that's where I would go. Bitcoin definitely is one that we're buying into, like I said, and there's others. I don't want to go into it. We're actually buying in Cardano and ADA as well. We think they're a sleeper. They're a sleeper right now. We think that I feel Cardano has a better outlook and a better future and less arrogant than Ethereum. And there's that competition between the two, obviously, right? We understand why, because they start out in the same boat, and now one is competing against the other. I actually think Cardano has a better long term than Ethereum does. I could be all wet there, but I mean, Ethereum might be the one that goes, you know, online with the governments, and therefore they stick around that way. But definitely, if Ethereum sticks around, it's going to be because it becomes more centralized, and I worry about that with Cardano as well, along with others. So we have to kind of watch that. And I think they're going to be a lot of coins like Helium. I think are going to be forced to go to algorithms, are going to be forced to centralize more to be able to bend and move with the government regulations. So that's my bit today. We're headed down to still next week. We're going to, after Halloween's over, head down to the iHub Global Conference in Las Vegas. And that is definitely Helium based. They're a company that's giving away free hotspots. Actually got to get in line to get one. They're going to start shipping out as of next week or the 6th of November to the US first. You have to pay just the shipping, which is right now I'm hearing $50. You get a free hotspot, but you only get 25% of what that earns. But that's fine. If you don't have money to get involved, you can get involved that way, learn how it works. And if you build and refer other people, they actually have an affiliate marketing program there that we kind of like. It actually is very legitimate, what it appears to be. We've done our homework on it, and so we are actually bullish in Helium. And though I'm competing against iHub Global in a sense, we joined forces, and we want to work with iHub Global now in educating the people so we can keep the Helium network up and allow many others to prosper down the road. So that's what we have today. I hope you find everything good. Have a great Halloween. Be safe, please. Watch your kids. Spend time with your kids. It's good to do. I'm doing it. I got to do more of it this week. So I'm going to be brief this week. I'll be brief next week. My helium news coming out today as well, and I'll be brief there as well. DeFi IoT Latin America, please subscribe, hit the button, stay with us. We got a lot of information coming, a lot of things we're doing, a lot of things we're evolving still as our little company grows. We got new cameras now we're dealing with, so we can give it a more professional look when we get back to the studio. Hit the subscribe button and the bell. Give us a thumbs up and write us. Tell us what you want to hear. Talk to you later.